So every single conversation around the child, every thought the child is exposed to can shape the child's decision making for the rest of their life. 95% of brain architecture is complete by the age of 5. The first 5 or 7 years don't just shape brain development, it also shapes a child's character. Whether the child is kind, if the child is humble, it also shapes the belief system.
I want to get a little technical here and understand what exactly happens at 7. Why is this number 6 or 7 so important?
If you have not been that safe space for your child in birth to 6, isn't it fair for them to find a safe place somewhere else?
What is a tantrum and what do I expect at 3? Hey everyone, welcome to the Conscious Indian Mama Pod. I'm your host Gunjan and today we have with us Ankita. Hi Ankita.
Hi Gunjan.
So Ankita is, as you can see, expecting baby number 2, already a mom to a 6-year-old.
Almost 6.
Almost 6-year-old. How's this journey been so far?
Actually, if I look at it, better than the pregnancy at 29, except for the back pain.
I feel you are more aware of things and you're less scared. Probably, yeah.
It's very much going with the flow.
Yeah.
And there's not much time to think with the elder one already there and work happening full swing, which wasn't the case the last time. So I feel because I'm occupied in so many things, it's just easier. And now I'm just like 7 or 8 weeks away. And now it's really hitting me that, oh my God, where did the time go?
And I'll have one more very soon in my hand.
Yeah.
So how's the journey been for your elder one?
It's been beautiful. I became an educator before she was born. So I was any which way in a position where I kind of knew what's going on with her. I trusted my own instincts. I didn't have to rely on a lot of people. I could take my decisions very strongly. And whenever my mother-in-law and mother would gang up against me, I would tell them, hey, you know what? I understand child development. So I think it helped me become a confident mom in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But again, there were so many things that practically came up which weren't really taught, right?
Yeah, of course.
That's how parenting is.
Of course, yes.
So quite a few of those also hit me like a rock. So I think I have learned from my daughter, learned in this journey and evolved as a parent. It's been beautiful, full of challenges, but I think that's pretty much, it's been full of challenges, and I think the challenges groom you into who you are. So in a way, I think I owe it all to the last 6 years.
Awesome.
She's prepped me for the second one.
Yes, that's what, like, how has that journey been for her? How is she, preparing for her
She's
sibling?
super excited. I mean, she thinks it's a gift from the universe.
Oh, wow.
And she has been secretly wanting a baby for a very long time. And even though we live in a joint family, she has enough company. Aisha's very motherly. And she loves babies. She's the greatest babysitter you can get. So if it's a bunch of children or it's the siblings of my own friends, she's always taking care of them. So I think it comes very naturally to her. And I think which is why she's really excited. She's excited about the baby phase.
Yeah.
And she says, Mama, in the baby phase, I'm even okay with a boy.
Oh.
But later, I would really like it to be a girl. You know how girls sit together and play. Boys need a lot more movement.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. But she's most excited about the baby phase. She doesn't realize how much the baby is going to be sleeping.
Yeah, and she doesn't realize how much is going to be crying.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Nice.
Yeah.
So how did you actually take this decision 6 years later? Was it...
It basically, I think we were really one and done for a very long time. Actually, not really. I remember the month that I delivered Aish, if anybody would ask me, how's it going and would you ever want to do this again? And I think within the first 40 days, I was very clear I would have another child.
Okay.
My postpartum was a breeze, right? And I had so much support. Within 3 months, COVID hit. I had everybody at my beck and call. I went back to work as well. So it was really easy for me the first year, which I don't think many moms get. So I'm really blessed, really lucky. And also I think being prepared and all the Montessori knowledge really helped me, right? And temperamentally also, Aish was, we were able to manage really well. But then, things went a little crazy around 18 months, 20 months when, the world was sort of getting back on. We were starting preschool. And then I think it was changing of caregivers and lot of other changes happening with me at work. And I think all of that came into picture and it became really hard. hard to a point where her separation anxiety had kicked in, her stranger anxiety had kicked in. And we were like, you know what? We were really like, we had our hands full. So
Ho
we
gaya.
were like, ho gaya,
Haan.
one and done. But around 3.5, and Aish was 3.5, again there came a phase where, it became a lot more easier. She became a lot more independent, longer hours at school. And then we were like, I think what happened with me is a lot of my friends were having their second babies. And I think I could see that as a very beautiful journey, the bonding between them. And I'm not a single child. I have a brother,
Yeah.
right? And I cannot imagine living in a world where I'm the only child because that just doesn't make sense to me, right? So I told S and my husband, and he was pretty much like, are you sure, So it took me a while to get him on board and that whole journey again. And then it happened finally with us in December. But the journey also has had its own ups and
Yeah,
downs
I'm
with
sure.
my low AMH and a little bit of infertility. But I guess when it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
That's true.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I think we've been wanting to do this for the last year.
Uh-huh.
And it was not like, okay, we just woke up and decided to have a child. It was pretty much, we were trying to manifest it.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So, talking about today's episode, today we'll be talking about the importance of the first 6 years of life
Yeah.
for any individual.
Yeah.
And the reason we have Ankita here today is because she is a Montessori coach. She is a parent coach. She's an NLP coach and an EI coach, EI
Master
expert,
coach.
EI
Yes.
master coach. Wow. That's the perfect person we need to talk about the importance of the person's psychology in the first 6 years of life and how parents can help support that journey for
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And given that you have an almost 6 years old, you would have that experience along with the knowledge too.
Yeah.
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 Awesome. So let's get right into it and start by first talking about why do we need to talk about this at all?
Right.
Right? Why are we suddenly all talking about parenting? Why is it that, suddenly everyone wants to know more about parenting? There's this concept of gentle parenting.
Yeah.
हम भी तो बड़े हुए हैं, अच्छे खासे
Right.
बड़े हो गए, we're all
Right.
fine. So why is it now important to talk about these things?
I think because parenting now is harder than it has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
We were all raised in a very different setup. Couple of us in joint families, couple of us in apartments, around cousins. I don't think our parents had to put a lot of effort into parenting. Plus, I don't think there was enough knowledge, right? So we've all grown up. But a lot of us do need therapy.
Yeah.
Because, the kind of emotional attunement that we received from our parents might not suit the journey we are in today. So, for example, generational trauma, right?
Yeah.
We were parented the way they were parented.
Yeah.
Now, the world today is so different. The kind of stimuli, the exposure to screens, the exposure to knowledge. I mean, children today get more information in a day than we would get probably in 10 days in those days.
True.
Right? So, the world is completely different, which basically means parenting has to be different. And now we have information. And I think information is power. We know better, so we must do better. And I think millennials are the first generation, if I may say, to take that onus to improve as parents.
Yeah.
I think we all need to give each other credits that we are really trying to become better parents, parents that our children deserve. Why we are very different from our parents is because we have information, we are using it, and we are somewhere intentionally parenting. But again, there are so many challenges because a lot more of us are working now.
That's true.
A lot of our moms were not working,
Yes.
which means now we are trying to do more in less time. And that is why parenting has become challenging. And I think that is why there needs to be more dialogue around it.
Yeah, the last point really hit home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my mom was always at home when we
Yeah.
were growing up. In fact, she started something of her own when I was, I think, in 10th or 12th standard. And then she stopped it midway because my sister was younger and she sort of needed her attention.
I see.
So it was like, yeah, I mean, she thought that, I need to be home, but we're here trying to do all of it together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that too more consciously and intentionally.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of work.
That is true. That
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now coming to the first 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Firstly, why is it that the first 6 years are so important? A lot of us just feel कि यार उसमें बच्चे को कुछ याद थोड़ी रहेगा मतलब.
Yeah.
First 6 years, they
Yeah.
don't really. We don't remember much of our
Yeah.
childhood in the first
So
6
memory
years, right?
begins at 3,
Hmm.
which is why we don't remember the first 3 years.
Correct.
We may remember bits and pieces after that, but concrete memories only start a little bit later. But the enigma of the brain and how it's all designed, how nature has intended it for us, is that the first few years shape who we are, our personality, our belief system. And in fact, it's all proven by research. 95% of brain architecture is complete by the age of 5. Okay, so let me give you an example. There's a newborn, right? A newborn is born with 100 billion neurons. Okay. You know how many stars are there in the sky? 100 to 400 billion.
Oh.
Which means, you know, on a day, the number of stars you see in the sky are the number of neurons a newborn is
Wow.
born with. And as we become adults, you know how there are weeds growing in the garden and then we have to prune it out? That is what the brain does. The connections that aren't formed, they get pruned out, and the connections that became stronger, they flourish and grow. And we are left with about 86 billion neurons. So we lose about 14 billion neurons as we grow up. But children have so much more brain development capacity and potential than adults can have. You know, for example, children below the age of 6 can learn up to 6 languages simultaneously.
Oh.
Just by being in the environment without being actively taught.
Yeah.
As an adult, if you have to learn one language now, it's going to take a lot of effort.
Yes.
Right? So as Maria Montessori said, children are born with a lot of potential. Right? Now, the first 5 or 7 years don't just shape brain development, it also shapes a child's character. Whether the child is kind, if the child is humble, right? It also shapes the belief system, right? So we all have a belief system.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is we think we are operating from a conscious, you know, brain. Now what happens is most of our decisions that we take are unconscious. If you and me are doing this podcast today, it's probably been the unconscious brain that's taken that decision to be here, right? So your beliefs about relationships, my beliefs about money, somebody else's beliefs about body image, all of it is shaped, you know, pregnancy to 7 years. So I have to talk about pregnancy here because 30% of the belief system is formed in pregnancy.
In pregnancy.
You've heard, na, they talk about it in our olden days that the mother's thoughts are the child's thoughts.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think I believed all of this in my first pregnancy, but now there's research that says the exact same stuff, you know. And the first year is crucial because up to 80% belief system is formed in the first year while the child is basically sleeping, pooping, drinking milk.
Yeah.
Right? So every single conversation around the child, every thought the child is exposed to can shape the child's decision making for the rest of their life. So imagine a child growing up believing, I am worthy, I'm capable, I'm enough, because they've received that from their environment, versus a child who grows up to believe life is hard, traffic is bad, money is hard to earn, right? So they work with that mindset throughout their life. And then they have to undergo a lot of therapies later if they realize they have those negative beliefs. And of course, the work it takes is a lot more.
Yeah.
So while we may believe that the first years are just for chilling, a lot happens then, you know. So while we do want to chill, we also want to intentionally parent in the first couple of years.
So I just want to go back to the 0 to 1 that you talked about.
Yeah.
Just by the conversation that's happening in the house
Yeah.
between parents or other caregivers,
Yeah.
that's what's shaping the belief system, 80% of the belief system of a child.
It is. Yeah. The first couple of years, the first couple of days after birth are really crucial. You want to be very careful of who you expose your child to, the conversations. You also want to fill your children with positive beliefs. You know, they're sleeping most of the time, so it's pretty much easy because they're in that state of mind where they can absorb everything. But, you know, the first year is so hard. As a new mother especially, right? You're just struggling to kind of, you know, just get up and do your daily chores, right? And that is the funny part, that this is the part where your child also needs, you know, your touch. They need you to talk to them. They need you to tell them before you pick them up or do something to them. They need you to fill them up with rich sensory experiences and language. Obviously, they need a lot of skin to skin. So it's hard, but that's the fact that everything that the baby becomes
Yeah.
is because of the child he was. You know, an adult, whoever an adult becomes in the future, is because of the child he once was from birth to 6, and
Wow.
especially birth to 1. And it's a really interesting phase at this point to understand that, you know, a child's brain is quite heavy, right?
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it weighs a lot in the
Right.
first 3 years.
Right.
It's because of the connections that are being made.
Hmm.
So when we talk about connections, you know, the connections that aren't made are lost forever also.
Yeah.
So when we are, let's say, simple things, right? Now, we keep our children in mittens and those onesies which have, you know, footsies. The child is not able to take their hands to their mouth, not able to suck, which they are right now allowed in the womb, by the way.
Yeah.
So there's a certain restriction. So the child is not able to feel their own face or the body. You know, they can't feel those textures. So how will the connections be made strongly? If the child does not hear people talk and multiple languages, the child will not be able to pick that up. The
Pick that up.
connections will not be made, and the connections that aren't made are pruned
Pruned
away.
away.
So the child is born with a lot of potential, a lot of capacity. Now we have to understand as parents that we don't want the child to walk at 9 months, talk at 6 months.
Yeah.
We are not trying to fast track anything.
Yeah.
We are just trying to provide to them what they need for development. And the most important Montessori material, as Maria Montessori said, is us. It's the adults,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't cost anything. Talking, reading, singing. 3 things. If parents can do that for their children throughout the first year and
Yeah.
just play with them, their brain will be making so many beautiful connections. But to be that mindful,
Yeah.
to take that time out, to do
Yeah.
it intentionally
Yeah.
and to do it regularly is key.
That's true. मतलब मुझे तो first 3 months याद भी नहीं है of my postpartum, what I was doing, what my baby was doing. उसके बाद I think things started happening more mindfully because I was better.
Yeah.
But the first 2 months though it's all like I've forgotten. It's kind of gone from my
It's a
memory.
little bit of a blur, right?
Yeah, because the hormones are everywhere
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're dealing with multiple things along with your child.
Yeah. And the sleeplessness.
And the sleeplessness.
Yeah.
And I am a person who cannot function on less sleep. Like I've always been that person.
Yeah, I think
And,
that's with most people. It's just that
yeah.
most people don't realize it. But sleep is,
Yeah.
we can go without food, but we can't
Go
without
without
sleep.
sleep for sure.
Yeah. So I
Wow.
think that this is why, like what you said, right? The first 2 months and 3 months just passed by, and those are very important 2 or 3 months. So as much as we want to obviously rest and recover, we also want to be present with our children. And luckily, we breastfeed. Those of us too, at least, are going to be able to make that connection with
Connection,
children. And
yeah.
if you don't breastfeed, then you can then do skin to skin with the caregivers. You know, give that child the attachment and the
Yeah.
security, the feeling of, you know, transitioning well from womb to the world. I think that's really important because transitions are very hard for babies.
Right.
Which is why the dialogue has to start in pregnancy. A mother who has learned child development, understands the importance of it in pregnancy, is mindful, will know exactly what to do the moment they hold their baby. It has to literally be a part of your thinking process.
Yeah.
But I think there has to be more awareness about it.
So now let's divide the 0 to 6 into 2 parts.
Right.
And first talk about birth to 3
Right.
and what's going on during that part and what are some of the misconceptions that people have during this phase of life.
Right. So from birth to 3, what's really going on with the child is that they master language that's spoken in the family by 3, which means they speak it, they understand it, they process it, and they master movement, which means they're completely comfortable with moving around
Right.
independent on their own. So birth to 3, the 2 main accomplishments are language and movement. They also develop secure attachment with their caregivers. That's really important, right? Lays down the foundation for love, for belief system, for character making, like I've already told you. The child also starts understanding their role in the family, and they understand if they are, you know, respected as a member of the family is what I would say.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the misconceptions about this phase is that, you know, the child will just grow up,
Yeah.
right? We don't have to do anything. I'll do something about it at first grade, or I will
Yeah.
work on it at Or I think I'll tell you the most common misconception about birth to 3 is that it's not even considered as an important phase.
Yeah.
People are thinking more about college than birth to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the child who is a child at birth to 3 is going to be, you know, an adult. And if that part is completely missed out, it's going to be very, it's a loss of opportunities, what I would tell you.
True.
You know, because the child maketh the man, right? As said very, very, very famously. So in the phase of birth to 3, there is not much focus on the child's environment in a lot of places. And we are not very careful about, you know, we think the child might not absorb much, right? We do things around the child and then we are like, you know, it's okay. We don't have to worry about it. The child is not really listening. The child is not really going to get affected by it, you know. But every single thing impacts the child. There are neural connections being made every single minute. So now if there is somebody yelling at somebody in front of the child, that is going to affect the child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way the connections are made in a positive way or a negative way really matters here. Now, in the phase of birth to 3 is when attachment really comes into play, right? And I think a lot of mistakes which we make in the first 2 years are what we spend the next couple of years, you know, fixing as parents. Not the mistakes children make. Children are perfectly fine. So mistakes related to, let's say, food, right? A lot of stuff is done in the first year,
Yeah.
and then parents are working on it for the next 7 years or even more. So I often tell parents, get the first couple of years, you know, right, or you keep on working on the same stuff throughout. Even
Yeah.
sleep, for example. I have gone through that with my own child because I only wanted to co-sleep and I had no issues with co-sleeping. In fact, sleeping with her made me a better sleeper, right? So we were loving it. But then came a point where she couldn't sleep without physical touch. And we realized how dependent she's become on us. And now with the other baby coming in, we wanted to move her out.
Yeah.
And you know, we transitioned her with barely any crying in 3 days. And she thrives now and she feels very confident about herself. And I wonder why I didn't do this before. You know? So it's just simple mistakes that we made. I may not say I'm not saying co-sleeping is a mistake. I think co-sleeping was beautiful. It was a lovely thing for us. But then I think I also confused my child by putting a mattress on the floor and saying you can sleep there but not on the bed. She was very confused. She was like, I'm anyway in the room with you.
Yeah.
So I think just being clear about what we want to do as parents, right? Sometimes we are not even clear in our own head and we are just taking decisions as we go. That can get really confusing. Another thing is I don't think parents are really working on a rhythm and routine in the first 3 years. But it's important that children are up at 7. It's important that they are in bed by 7 till the age of 7. It can benefit them in so many ways. But a lot of children are in classes till 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then where is the time to do connection time before bedtime? So I
Yeah.
feel that if parents can decide what they want to do, have a system that's followed, irrespective of the parent being there or not. Because again, a challenge is
We don't have time.
we don't have time and we come back only at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we'll never see our child. So I always tell parents when they're consulting with me saying morning time bhi hai.
हाँ.
Connection to morning mein bhi kar sakte ho.
हाँ.
Right? Why is it that evening has to be connection time?
Yeah.
But to tell parents that, you know, in neuroscience, it's clear that adrenaline and cortisol goes up after 7 o'clock. It's going to make the child a little, too excited or a little too tired or overwhelmed. Falling asleep is going to be harder. It's so much better if done on time. You know, and a lot of parents again tell me that my child only sleeps for 8 hours, 9 hours and is thriving. I really do want to tell them, imagine what the child would do if that child was getting a little more.
Yeah. 11
You know,
or
a
12
little
hours,
more.
yeah.
Like waking up at 9 or 10 in the morning. I don't know if that's okay because the child completely misses their own circadian rhythm, doesn't get out, doesn't get the outdoor time. And we all know the benefits of outdoor time. We all know it's already quite less compared to what it should be in our country, at least.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel the first 3 years are really about getting the base, right? Deciding the kind of parent you want to be, learning your own emotional regulation skills, because around 3 years is when children also start with tantrums. Or at 18 months when they start saying no. And you know, a lot of parents come at 18 months and say, my child's tantrums have started, the child has started saying no. And in my head, I'm thinking, no is a developmentally appropriate thing to do.
Okay.
The child has learned how to say no, achhi baat hai.
Huh.
You know, and that is because the child goes through a crisis of affirmation, it's called in Montessori.
Okay.
But tantrums don't start at 18 months. Saying no is not a tantrum, you know. It is a decision. Tantrums start much later.
Okay.
So अगर उसको हम tantrum समझ रहे हैं,
हाँ.
तो जब tantrum आएगा उसको क्या बोलेंगे?
So what is a tantrum then? क्योंकि
A
मैं भी
tantrum-
उसको tantrum समझती हूँ.
नहीं. Saying no is not a tantrum.
हाँ,
right?
saying no is not a tantrum, but the crying that comes after it
Yeah.
is.
So saying no, basically at 18 months, your child understands that your child is separate from you. They are not your extension. They understand completely that they have their own identity. And then, of course, they want control. So if you've noticed a lot of times, you might have told your child, you know, ye wala juta pehen lo. And your child will say no.
No.
But ghoom fir ke then they will wear that
That
juta.
only, yes.
They'll wear that
हाँ.
again. Na? It's because they just had to say no.
हाँ.
What does that mean? It means the child is trying to assert authority and control. What can we do as parents? Give them choices. Just let them make their own decisions. Not with a cupboard full of clothes, but with maybe 2 or 3 options, right? So but we need to understand, right, ki ho kya raha hai. If we don't even know ho kya raha hai, we will assume that is a tantrum. So
Yeah.
what is happening in a tantrum? Tantrums are also developmentally appropriate. I would
true.
worry if a child was not having any tantrums, right?
Yeah.
So basically, if a child's feelings are too big for the child to handle, you know, we call it a meltdown
Yeah.
or a tantrum
Yeah.
or undergoing big emotions. But tell me something, how often do me and you lose it also?
Very often.
Right? So हम चाहते हैं कि हमारा बच्चा हमारे से पहले regulate कर ले अपने आप को, you know. We want our child to be calm before we have calmed down. Now that's hypocrisy. But that happens. You know, we are losing our mind saying, why is the child not able to understand? And I'm just like, why are we not able to understand? You know,
Yeah.
so it's called parenting, right? Parenting. Parent को
Parent
करना है,
को
it's not
करना है.
childing. So I would tell parents कि
Yeah.
parenting में parent को ज़्यादा काम करना है,
हाँ,
you know.
हाँ.
And the first 7 years are defining. Again, coming back to the brain development, right? If a child understands that, you know what, I'm crying, I'm having a hard time, but my caregiver is here with me, helping me through it, not shaming me, not blaming me, right? And supporting me through it, naming my emotions, helping me process what's going on because these feelings are too big for me. Then the neurons that fire, the connections that are made are very healthy. And the child understands that, you know what, these caregivers love me. You know, I am loved in spite of that tantrum, right? I don't have to be well behaved
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be on edge with my caregivers because I'm fully accepted. And over time, this child will learn how to self-regulate, provided, you know, at 2.5, you can model breathing. How many of us model breathing when the child is having a tantrum? We are losing our cool ourselves so many times, right? So then if the child sees us and they see us losing it, then that is their definition of, this is what I need to do when I'm angry. Not that I need to breathe and calm down, but versus if a child sees us trying to, you know, calm down, trying to take deep breaths, maybe trying to splash water on our faces and just telling them, you know what, I can see that you're angry. I think I'm also feeling angry. I'm just going to splash some water on my face. And really intentionally showing it to them. You know, children just imitate adults.
That's true.
That's their entire childhood. You know. So if we can just become those role models for our children, it's going to be so beautiful. But then the amount of self-control it takes at that point to not lose your cool and say,
हाँ,
मैं मुंह
मतलब
धो के आ रही हूँ.
this is very difficult to do
It's difficult
in
to do.
practice. Like because of the way we have been parented, the way
Yes.
we have been conditioned
Yes.
all our lives,
Yes.
we never had a adult telling us ki it's okay beta, I'll breathe, you breathe.
We
There
didn't
was
have.
none of that when we were growing up, right? Now suddenly for us to do that when we're thrown into this
Yeah.
journey of being a
Yeah.
parent, it's not easy.
It's not easy, which is why we have to practice it and build skills, right? Which is why some of us who have had traumatic experiences, maybe, you know, because maybe caregivers weren't around or they weren't aware or they just didn't care. We were never taught the skills to self-regulate. We need to learn it now. So
Yeah.
it could mean working with a coach. It could mean going to therapy. It could mean reading about it. It could be journaling. There are so many tools available. But if we don't do it mindfully, we are going to pass it on to our children.
Yeah. So the generational cycle doesn't really break then.
Yeah. But I'm really, really happy to share with you that like millennials are really working hard to break the cycle. They want to be cycle breakers.
I know.
And it's beautiful. I'm really excited to see this next generation of children and how they're going to parent their child.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going
Hopefully
to
it'll
be-
come more naturally to them.
Yeah, because that's what they see.
They
And I
see,
think
yeah.
I see that in a lot of children who have siblings, right? So I have a friend, let's say, her child is 9 and her younger one is 3. The 9-year-old is almost like a mother,
Yeah.
right? And she was a product of gentle parenting.
Okay.
And the parent does not have to step in most of the times with that younger one because the older one is so clearly role modeling exactly what was done with her. She's not trying to shush the crying. She's not getting triggered by the crying. To not get triggered, to
Triggered,
be able to
yes.
heal
Yes.
is beautiful, but she doesn't have to heal because usko trauma nahi
Trauma
hai.
nahi hai, yeah.
So it's
Yeah, I
very
think crying is
beautiful.
like one of the biggest triggers that a lot of us have, even for me. Just
Yeah.
hearing that loud shriek, it just gets on my last nerve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all have triggers. A lot
Yeah.
of moms have triggers. A lot of mom get triggered when they see their house is a mess.
Yeah.
Because their moms were very strict about the house being clean,
Hmm.
right? So we all have our own triggers. And unless we identify, we work through it, we heal, and then we consciously decide that we are going to be different, we might as well are going to pass it on to our children.
Yeah.
So that is the first 3 years,
Yeah.
First 3 years is giving birth, working on language and movement, and at 18 months realizing that I need to work on myself. And you know what, Gunjan? Biggest myth, love alone is not enough. मैंने यही realize किया मेरे parenting में. पहले मुझे लगता था if I just love my child, it's going to be enough. Then I became a Montessori educator and then I realized, no, I also need to understand child development. Then when I became a parent, I understand, I'm getting triggered, which means I need to go back and work on myself.
Myself, yeah.
So parenting is a lot of work, and unfortunately, love alone doesn't cut it anymore. We need to have skills as parents. We need to be more mindful, and we need to understand what we are doing in our parenting. It cannot be on autopilot.
Yeah.
Parenting can't be on autopilot anymore.
Yeah.
Because if it is on autopilot, then after 7 years, you will see it. That's what I'm telling most parents who tell me that क्या होगा अगर नहीं करेंगे. I said अभी कुछ नहीं होगा.
अभी कुछ नहीं होगा.
Wait till you're 7. If you have not been that safe space for your child in birth to 6, isn't it fair for them to find a safe place somewhere else? Tell me.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Why are more and more children taking support from friends and trusting decisions of friends? Because if as a parent, I have not been there for my child, it's only fair for my child to seek that somewhere else.
Yeah.
So unknowingly, we are pushing our children in the hands of friends. And trust me, 7-year-olds cannot give advice to 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right? We are the ones who need to give our children advice. But to think about all of this takes a lot of work, a lot of
Yeah,
mindfulness.
yeah.
There's so much
And
happening.
it can get very overwhelming.
Yeah, it can.
So I want to get a little technical here and
Yeah.
understand what exactly happens at 7.
Mm.
Why is this number 6 or 7 so important, when we're talking about this?
So birth to 7 is like the first phase. They say it's the first phase. It's the early years, right? After that, the child, of course, around 6 or 7 is when the child enters first grade. And developmentally, the child changes. The child no longer has the sense of order of being things done a certain way that the child once had. That child will not just take your instructions and because I said so kind of rules, right? The child's logical reasoning has completely kicked in. So the child has completely different needs after the age of 6 or 7. So now if you set a rule, you first have to get your child on board.
Yeah.
You cannot just say, I've decided half an hour of TV time on Saturday only. The child is going to say, I don't agree with you. That's unfair. You're on your phone the entire time. Why can't I be? So it's about setting boundaries, negotiating, developing skills and helping your children take better decisions at this age, because logically now they can understand. They can now manage their own emotions. They have if you've given them the skills at, let's say in the 3rd or 4th year or 5th year, you will see that at the age of 7, they will have a fight with their friend. They'll make up on their own quite a few times. Versus at 3 or 4, when they're pulling each other's hair out, you might have to step in.
Yeah.
So it's a developmentally completely different phase. You know, in Montessori, it's called the elementary phase.
Okay.
So it's completely different. And at this point, the child has a need to be social. Right? So it's going to happen. The social dynamics are going to come into play. But if there is a point here where the child prefers to go out with friends more than parents, then we as parents need to self-reflect why that is happening. So if a parent has been a Hitler parent, that child now when they're growing up in 7 to 12 years, you may see a lot more resistance, a lot more, you know, defying, right? So the work that you do in the first 7 years is the foundation for the rest of your life, is what I would say. You know, you're building a child's life. So the foundation for that, just like a foundation for any building, you know, it's the main thing, right? The base.
Right.
That is the work that we do. To consider that as parents, we are the secure base.
Yeah.
If they goof up, they can come to us.
Yeah.
If they make mistakes, they can come to us. And they don't feel any kind of pressure. You know, if we were pressurized as children to even play a sport, pursue dance, look
Yeah.
a certain way,
Yeah.
eat a certain way, it's very easy to pass that on to your children.
True.
You know, and that happened with me. Let me tell you, I'm a very outgoing person, right? And around 2 years, I would see that, you know, when COVID finally slowed down and we started going out, that, you know, Aish was not very comfortable with a lot of people. And then we were like, okay, she's a slow to warm up child. And a lot of people would label as a shy child.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd been like, acha, half an hour ho gaya. I've given you the time to warm up. But then this child is still with me. And these are people who we meet often. So I was like, what's going on? And then, you know, I had a dialogue with Saurav. And he told me that, you know what, I'm exactly like that. You know, I am not the person who's going to go into a party, start talking to people. I will go to a corner. I will warm up. And then I'm going to slowly start talking to people. So he completely understood her.
Yeah.
Me being an educator could not accept. I think I understood, but I could not accept, you know, that she's not able to mingle, let's say, you know, or not putting herself out there or not talking to people and just staying with me. It's only when I really deep dived and understood her temperament that I understood. And now at 6, she tells me, we're going out. I'm going to take 10 minutes to, you know, chill on my own. Then I'll talk to people.
Yeah.
She takes her own decisions. And if anybody calls her shy, she'll say, but it's okay to be shy, right? I
So it's not a bad thing in her head.
It's not a bad
anymore.
thing in her head.
Yeah.
And you know that labels do stick with
Yeah,
children. So
they
it's so
do.
important to let them feel accepted just the way they are. But a lot of children are given a lot of labels birth to 3. Even a newborn, agar wo ro raha hai, usko bhi label mil jata hai.
Yes.
But the newborn is not crying because they want to be difficult. They're crying because a need is not being met.
Yeah.
Children, 10 months pe children learn कि रोने से कुछ मिलता है.
Huh.
Before that, they are just crying
Yeah.
because they need something, you know,
Yeah.
or they're getting bored.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even want milk. They are just bored. They are just bored of seeing the ceiling, right? So there are many reasons. But if as parents, we are not aware what is happening with the child, we will be very quick to label. We will be very quick to judge. And then we talk about the child in front of everyone else. And then we form the belief systems right there. So we cause a lot of damage unknowingly. Which then we have to work on, and after 7 it's hard. You know, my therapist always says kindness, character building 7 ke pehle sikha do. After 7 it's going to take you so much effort, you're probably not going to do it. You know, and once your children are 7, you're out and about also.
Yeah.
Like, you have your own life.
Yeah.
You're doing your own stuff.
Right.
They don't need you as much. Right? So it's hard to then work with them
Yeah.
deeply when they don't even need you. Right? And the connection and everything has reduced. Yeah.
So now let's move on to the next phase, which is
Yeah.
3 to 6, and
Yeah.
talk about what's actually happening there. What
Yeah.
are some of the milestones or developmental
Yeah.
areas that we see in kids?
Yeah. So 3 to 6 is very beautiful. It's very interesting. It's the time where a child may start going to
Yeah.
a proper preschool.
Yeah.
And this is the time the child truly enjoys social interactions. Before 3, a playdate would not matter to a child. Their world is just about them. But their world really expands at the age of 3. You know, if I'm talking about motor skills, they start getting refined. So around the age of 4.5, a child is naturally inclined to pick up a pencil or pick up a color and scribble. You know, if enough work has been done to develop the writing fingers, a child will naturally do it. Around 5, 4.5, 5 again, different for every child, is when they're really on their own interested to read. Right? This is also the time to ask them the curiosity questions. You know, just not telling them that it's going to rain. Why do I think it's going to rain? You know, just asking them questions, so then they think and then they ask you more questions in return, right? Which again takes patience and maybe some Googling because they're going to ask you why, right? But you can give them that gift of curiosity if you're mindful, you have the time. Another beautiful thing that happens with children is they become a lot more independent 3 to 6 years. You know, at 6, typically, like right now where we are, she'll be 6 in November. We just have to tell her that get ready for bed, which means take a shower, put your lotion, comb your hair, choose your book, wear your pajamas, and then call us for bedtime. You know?
Oh, okay.
So
So
all of
you don't
that-
have to do all of that with her.
आएगा तुम्हारा time.
Waiting.
So आएगा तुम्हारा time, you know,
Huh,
and then
yeah.
you know, we don't, like, there are days where we don't even know when she is showered, when she's worn her clothes, when she's ready, you know. So in few things we see a lot more independence, right? Those are things that interest her. For a few things we still have to remind her,
Yeah.
right? So that's just how it is. But it's beautiful to see that the child completely understands their place in the house. They understand what they need to do. They're giving some responsibilities, and that actually helps them become more confident,
Yeah.
right? Versus doing everything for them because we want to save time. Then they really don't learn the chores, right? So kind of simple things like maybe setting the table. And I think for parents, what can be really helpful is assigning them a chore that if they don't do it, it's not done.
Yeah.
For example, wherever you've eaten in the house, dining table, your room, I'm very flexible with where the child eats as long as she eats on her own. If my child has forgotten to put the plate back for wash, it's going to stay there.
Okay.
It's going to stink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very hard living in a joint family, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you know, it's a skill
Yeah.
she's going to learn. And then she comes in and be like, oh my God, this entire place is stinking. And then she'll put the plate back.
Yeah.
You know, and there are days where she'll say, I really don't feel like doing it. Can you pick up one of those things? So it's just the child's willingness to collaborate. But then if we trust them enough and saying that, you know what, I trust you. You don't have to do it right now. You don't have to clean your room right now. You want to be able to find your things.
Yeah.
You will clean up. I know, I trust you. So just leaving them at that, you know, that can be really, really powerful. Just trusting them enough with their chores. We are protective of so many of our own things, and we lock the drawers, and, you know, we get into all of that, right? And then we don't let them do stuff at 3 years. And then they'll never learn that at 6 years. If we are too worried about the mess they're going to make, then we are really losing out, is what I would tell you. Yeah. So for parents, I think 3 to 6 is also the time for emotional foundation building
Okay.
in terms of teaching regulation skills. Maybe having a calm corner somewhere where the child has been taught that they can go calm themselves down. Also, around 6, children learn sharing on their own. They might not want to share everything, but on being prepared, they genuinely can share, which is not something we should expect from a child who's younger.
So before 6, children usually won't share.
It's okay for them to not share.
It's okay for them to know. This should be a PSA. My child doesn't share is, I think, 2 out of every 3 DMs in my Instagram.
But
At 2, at
development-
3,
but
at
it's
4.
developmentally appropriate
normal,
for the
yeah.
child to not share
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
age, right?
Yeah.
But parents को पता होना चाहिए.
पता होना चाहिए.
That's
वही,
it.
वही.
That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
So I also get these questions a
Yeah.
lot that, you know, my child just wants me. I'm like, that's appropriate. You're the primary caregiver.
Yeah, yeah.
And something that parents don't understand is secure attachment in birth to 3 leads to secure detachment in 3 to 6. Right? If you have had secure attachment, your child will be able to detach with you. You can go for a dinner date with your partner. You can go for a holiday with your friends without your child completely losing their mind and worrying if my mama will ever come back or if my papa will ever come back.
Yeah.
Because if they've attached, they can detach. Unhealthy attachment will lead to a difficult separation also. Right?
What do you mean by unhealthy attachment?
So basically, if the caregiver was there but not present, if maybe the child's needs were not met, where the child might have been left to cry. Sometimes where the parent has not practiced separation, which basically means you've been around your child the entire time. A lot of people think just being around the child the entire time is attachment. That is being there. That is not attachment. Attachment ke liye you'll have to do a lot more work. A little, playing a game or singing a song or reading a book or cuddles or, something has to be done. A lot of people are around the child, right? And you must have seen that children do attach to one caregiver a lot more sometimes. Sometimes it's the mother, sometimes it's the father. If both are working, it can be the grandparent also. It can be the nanny also. So with children, of course, the amount of time matters, but the quality of interaction also matters. So if the attachment has been unhealthy, a lot of moms just don't give their children to anybody. They have trust issues. They're around the entire time. The child has not had a moment of separation. So you have to practice intentional separation. So for example, you're playing, I'm going to go, finish that and come back. So you go, you come back, you go, you come back. So your child understands what's gone is not gone forever. It will come back with toys, with books, with people. And then there comes a point where the child feels so connected to you. You have spent your one-on-one connection time. You fill them up with so much love. You've done your affirmations. They just know they are fully accepted. And those children, I think, their brains get wired differently. To know that no matter what I do, my parents are going to love me. The love my parents have for me is not dependent on who I become and what I do. It's because I am.
Yeah.
Children should be loved just because they exist, not because of who they become and who they are.
Yeah.
Right? And in that moment, you can't choose to love them or not love them.
Yeah.
They feel it, Unko
Yeah.
pata chal jata hai
Yeah.
because mirror neurons.
True.
Which
true.
we'll talk about a little later.
Yeah.
But what happens then is children have difficulty separating because they don't feel the world. Remember I told you beliefs?
Yeah.
If a child who's grown up with the belief that the world is not a safe place, I cannot trust other adults, will have so much difficulty going to school and not being able to trust that teacher, not being able to let go of the mother, right?
Yeah, true.
So
true,
whatever we do in the first year, the first 3 years, just carry on, and it just keeps. It's like a building block.
True.
It keeps building up.
Building, yeah. You mentioned a while back that 3 is when your child actually starts to throw tantrums, right? मुझे तो ऐसे लगता है that has been the case since he was 1. And not just because of no, but just because of like wanting things, not getting things, and then crying.
Yeah.
I used to think that's what a tantrum is. But if that's not a tantrum, then what is a tantrum and what do I expect at 3?
So I'm not saying it will start at 3.
Huh.
It's different for every child,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
biological clock.
Huh.
But around 18 months is another crisis, right? At 18 months is the beginning, is what I would say.
Okay.
It peaks around 3.5, 4. And then as children develop skills to talk, express, emotional regulation skills, it kind of settles down. That's the
Okay.
entire cycle. But let me tell you what is happening biologically to a child, right?
Yeah.
So we have a prefrontal cortex in our brain. That's the thinking part of our brain. And then we have an emotional part of our brain. When we are in the middle of a tantrum, right? And this is very beautifully expressed in the Whole Brain Child book by Dan Siegel. He basically says that your emotional brain has hijacked your thinking brain.
Okay.
तो वो बच्चा अब रो रहा है सुपरमार्केट में कि उसको चाहिए वो पैकेट ऑफ चिप्स और मदर बोल रही है कि चिप्स तो नहीं मिलेगा
नहीं मिलेगा.
and she's trying to reason it out saying क्यों नहीं मिलेगा but the thinking brain is switched off right. So it's a bell curve when we think about a tantrum. It starts slowly and then it peaks. When it peaks is when we are trying to explain things to the child and the logical brain is completely shut off. The child is just flooded with stress hormones. Okay? Now we have to breathe, calm down, and obviously the child will also eventually calm down. And that is the time to have a conversation. Now, what does the child need at this peak? The child needs connection. The child just needs us to name their emotions. When we name their emotions, it's not scattered anymore. It kind of gets composed. It kind of gets smaller. So for a parent to just tell the child, I can see that you're having a hard time. If they don't know what the emotion is, they can just say hard time. Because children can get mad if you label their emotions wrong. And they say, no, I'm not upset. I'm angry. Or to tell them that I can see that you're angry. I can see that you really want that packet of chips. And I'm right here for you. And lay the boundary. But I can't let you buy these chips. For whatever reason. And not talk too much. Not too much dialogue. Now, what is happening in the child's brain? we were at some point hunters and gatherers, right? Our ancestors. So we had our stress responses. You must have heard of fight, flight, and freeze. तो क्या होता है उस वक्त? एनिमल आ गया हमारे सामने, राइट? या तो फाइट करेंगे, राइट? एड्रेनलिन भर रहा है बॉडी में, कॉर्टिसोल तो है ही, या तो भाग जाएंगे वहां से, or you're just going to freeze. Yeah. So today children run away to grandparents sometimes, or people who are going to protect them. That's freeze response. Fight is when they're getting mad and they're really showing it that they want it. Or freeze is when the child completely shut down. So basically now at this tantrum कोई animal नहीं है, कोई threat नहीं है, but that situation has completely shut off your child's brain towards logic, and the child is not thinking. And now you cannot become that animal. We cannot become the threat. We have to become the child's support system here.
Yeah.
So just to understand that I'm going to count to 5 because my child is not giving me a hard time. The child is actually having a hard time because the child's brain, which is supposed to think for the child, is shut off right now. And look at it as, oh, you know what? This is a brain development opportunity. I can teach my child some regulation skills. Because if again and again, the same response is given to a child where emotions are labeled, emotions are accepted, and the child is taught a regulation technique, that is how the wiring of the neurons will happen. And the child will continue to think that is the way to behave or respond when they're angry. And they will pass that on to their future generations. You know? But at that point, if we try to shame the child, if we try to get physical and control the child, then obviously, the safe space of the child is not the safe space anymore. And that can really confuse the child, that this person is supposed to protect and understand me, and why is this person not accepting me or helping me? Right? And then later they feel they are not loved.
But a lot of times parents just want ki, acha abhi rona band kar do.
Yeah.
Like that's the sort of response that we're coming with. That's why all the logic explanation is happening. That's why even sometimes people give in ki chalo theek hai, tum ro mat, le lo chips ka packet and stuff. So what happens then in the child's brain when we give in, or when we're like, acha theek hai, rona band karo, you take the packet of chips right now?
See, there are two kinds of parents, who give in always, who give in
sometimes,
time to time, right? So if you're giving in all the time, then that's permissive parenting. Then you are ultimately, your child is going to see you as a friend. And permissive parenting का मतलब है जो भी बच्चा कर रहा है सब allowed है. कितना chips खाना है, कितना ice cream खाना है, सब allowed है. Rules ही नहीं है. So imagine if we grew up in a world without rules. Traffic rules हमें चाहिए, right? So the child in the middle of that tantrum needs us to be the captain of the ship and manage it. To tell the child that, hold on, buckle up, I'm going to take care of you. Now, if we are inconsistent, it can confuse the child. And then they test it out. Maybe if I cry harder. Like that day, shayad mil jayega. Let me try harder, Usse better hai make a system. Decide. You can buy the packet of chips, sure, but you can only eat it on a Thursday because we had decided Thursday and Monday khayenge. Then the child knows. Make a visual chart, make it predictable. There are so many ways to prevent a tantrum. I think we are so busy in managing it कि हम prevention का सोचते ही नहीं है. Because as parents हम firefighting कर रहे हैं. तो हम enjoy कब करेंगे parenting? Because these episodes can really tire us out.
That is true.
It can feel like why parenting feels so hard, right? But that's because we are busy firefighting every day. We're putting out fires. So when we have a system in place, we know exactly कब क्या होने वाला है. It's predictable for the child and us. And this does take effort, but it is possible. I know so many parents who've done it. I have done it. So for example, today I have some children over at my house and children are coming. They might want me to order something for them. And I don't really mind. I have the complete trust and permission from their parents to spoil them a little bit. But my child already had cake yesterday. Okay, because I had gone for a baby shower. I came back with this yummy cake and I wanted them to try it. So now I had a conversation with her this morning that, you've had cake yesterday. So what's going to happen today? And instead of telling her, I just made her think about it. That's what I'm doing at 6. So what you going to do? Because you're allowed twice a week, You're allowed sugar twice a week. And one is done. And today is too close to yesterday. So what should we be doing for our our brain, our teeth. And then she may say that it's going to be very hard. You can order it for me, but I'm not going to have it today. So either she's going to exert that self-control and take a decision, or she's going to say, I'm going to feel really bad if my friends are having it, I'm not. So I'm just going to have a little bit, but the next week's sugar you can cancel. So she's already decided with me, because हम यही करते हैं, रूल बनाते हैं और ये डिस्कस कर लेते हैं कि रूल ब्रेक होगा तो क्या करेंगे.
So consequence also she's deciding.
Yeah, so we said, okay, if we break the rule,
हाँ.
क्या होगा? And it's something that she's completely on board with.
Yeah.
So then the meltdown is prevented.
Yeah.
Rather than me ordering without having a discussion with her, and then
Yeah.
she's going to say, of course I'm going to have it. Not that I've decided I'm going to order anything. I'm just giving that example to you.
got
That
it.
sometimes it happens. And I feel sometimes as parents, it's okay to be flexible, situation to situation. But if you're doing this as a rule, then at 3 your child is just going to cry harder, because being inconsistent confuses them completely.
Yeah, I mean, I think this happens a lot in especially joint families, because
Yes.
it's not just the parents, right?
Yeah.
They have grandparents, sometimes even like, uncles and aunts who are living with them. And okay, the parents might set a rule, but not everyone would follow that, or
Yeah.
not everyone would be on board with that. And then they would just give in, and then the child would be
Yeah.
like, okay, they're not giving it to me, I'll go to them.
Yeah, which is why the parent has to have the connection with the child. You won't believe it. 2 days ago, I heard the story when I was out for the staycation, that my mother-in-law really told my child कि तुम खा लो, ये कुछ नहीं होगा, खा लो. And she said, नहीं, पर नहीं है मेरा शुगर डे, मैं नहीं खाऊंगी. And मैं नहीं खा सकती, मेरा रूल है मम्मा के साथ. So to be able to
Yeah.
trust me as an adult, that if I'm setting a rule, it's for her benefit, it's not to deprive her. But then in order for her to be mindful, remember that in the moment, which may not happen 100% of the times, it may happen 90% of the times, right? Is because of the connection, which is kind of the attachment, the bonding,
Yeah,
the connection that
yeah.
again goes down from
Yeah.
pregnancy to the first 6
No,
years.
that's
So
true.
I would say it's all linked,
Yeah.
If you don't have connection with your children, forget about getting them to follow your rules. You do your bit, they'll do their bit.
Yeah,
It's a give and
yeah.
take.
Yeah.
We cannot do less and expect more from our children.
True. And sometimes they remind you only. Like the other day, what happened? I was making some snacks. We're going on a trip this weekend, so I was preparing something for it. And he came in, "Ki kya kar rahe ho? Mujhe khana hai." I said, "No, this is for the trip." He's like, "Okay, fine." He went to it, and it's a few of his favorite things. Okay, so I was very surprised that he didn't ask. He went. Now yesterday, while during snack time or something, I just took a cookie from there. I was like, "ठीक है, ये खा लो." He's like, "ये तो trip के लिए था." And I was like, "Oh,
Oopsie.
I forgot." What? Because I said that in the moment. It was not even something that, मैंने सोच के बोला था कि पहले नहीं दूंगी or something. It was like,
Right.
I'm making this for the trip. I just said it by the way. I didn't
Yeah.
mean I won't give it to you before. And yesterday he was like, but ये तो trip के लिए था. I was like, चलो ठीक है, it's okay. You have one, then rest we'll have during the trip. I felt bad, guilty, and proud at the same time.
Yeah.
Ki, oh my god, I'm like, he hasn't had it so far because he feels it's for the trip.
Yeah.
But then I also felt proud of the fact that he could say no to it.
Yeah.
Even though
To
I was
have that
offering
self-control. Yeah, that's
At
amazing.
2.5, I was like, wow.
Children
okay.
can really surprise you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now let's move on and talk a little bit about schools, because
Yeah.
3 is usually when children also start going to
Yes.
schools.
Yes.
So, what role does a school play in the child's development, considering 0 to 6 is the main thing that we want to focus on?
School is important for several reasons. Now, again, the kind of school that I would prefer a child to go is not where there's rote learning happening and all the children are doing the same thing and children are just asked to follow without asking questions. The kind of school that I would prefer is, let's say, a Montessori school or any other school of thought where there are hands-on experiences, right? Where the child makes mistakes, the child self-corrects, the child is allowed to explore with all their senses, because all the connections that we make, the synapses that gets formed, the hand is basically the instrument of the man's intelligence, is what Maria Montessori said. So if the hand is only writing, how will intelligence develop?
Yeah.
Right? So there has to be more than that. Right? School is again important for the social aspect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think it can help children learn a lot of skills like taking turns, like sharing, like understanding rules, right? Which doesn't happen. I also believe teachers are the caregivers there. So
Right.
choosing a school where teachers are warm, they understand your child, they get down to the child's level, give the child that love. And there are many schools and many teachers like that. You just have to find the right fit for your child.
A lot of times parents get into that race because we have been brought up with that milestone aligned mindset, or that competition is always there, that oh, you have to learn so and so by this and this age, that all of the parents focus is on the studies and the learnings. And so how can a parent sort of maybe bring about that change in their mindset? Because what I see is that there's a mindset change required here, right?
Yeah. Especially, I think, in the world of AI, where marks are not going to mean anything, exams are going to become redundant, right? Children at fifth grade are already learning AI in schools.
Yeah.
So basically, now children are not going to be tested on their knowledge, they're going to be tested on application, and skill building is going to be the need of the hour.
Yeah.
So I feel not focusing on the result but the process can be a game changer. So not how much marks the child got or how well the child is doing, but what the child is learning. Even when a child goes to an after school program or let's say a skating class. My child goes to skating class. It's not ever been about how well she's skating. That's the outcome. It's been about what she's learnt on the way. Right? Again, tennis. It's not just about, how well she's able to play, but again about is she learning better motor skills? Now, again, it's a team sport because there are other people playing and partners keep changing.
Yeah.
How are the dynamics there?
Yeah.
And perseverance, because the child is going to give up. The child is not going to go.
Yeah.
So many things are going to happen. So I feel if we focus on the learning and we think that school or at home we are able to provide that to the child, where the process is more important than the product, that is enough for the early years. Leave the rest for post 7.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about a few practical things that parents can do.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe give us 3 or 4 things that parents can do at home to help their children's brain develop as per their age.
So it's not going to cost anything. Okay. They can talk, they can read, and they can sing. And if they can play, that's cherry on top. Consistently. Music does not get the credit it deserves in early childhood brain development. Music supports all brain areas to develop. Music should start in pregnancy. I run music classes, right?
Yeah.
So we start at 3 months. Babies come, they're lying on the mat at 3 months and their mums are singing to them. And it's beautiful.
Wow. Beautiful.
And most parents think they cannot sing or they're not a good singer. Well, the child doesn't care how good a singer you are. The child cares that you sing.
Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
Reading to children. And by reading, I don't mean at bedtime you give them books to read. Till the age of 9 or 10, it's still okay for you to give that to the child, for you to read that story to the child. Even though they're quite capable of doing it themselves. Bedtime is, I think, your time to just give back. I don't recommend people to teach at bedtime. Don't try to test at bedtime. So I think having some beautiful rituals that can really help. Being present, making sure the attachment is going well, and giving your children opportunity to explore. That can really help. Also, I think environment is one of the biggest teachers. Maria Montessori said, prepared adult, prepared environment and prepared materials. The child is unknowingly any which way picking up from the environment. Just prepare the environment and set it up for a child's success. A simple step stool so they can reach the sink. Toys in basket that they can access. Just a pocha ka kapda so they can wipe their spills. It doesn't have to be anything. A child will not be independent in kitchen if they don't even have things at their height. So just a basket with their utensils. A space where they can wear their shoes. And maybe giving them the time and giving yourself the time to slow down. So it doesn't cost anything. Emotionally helping your children regulate also doesn't cost anything.
True.
So all the brain development that we spoke about is actually you just need yourself.
Yeah.
You need to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
So if a parent can invest time in learning and becoming the parent their children deserve, that's it.
So where can they learn all this? What kind of courses do you have where parents can come and, learn these things hands-on?
So, in the last 7 years, I've realized, and this especially came from my journey at working at Head Start Montessori, that there was a big gap between the needs of the child and what was happening at home. And parents did not know a lot of information, so they constantly felt that their children were on a different level, a different pace. The needs weren't met, right? So the child was a different child at home and a different child at school, which was also causing a little bit of confusion, right? And I think the entire purpose of my journey was to bridge that gap between the needs of the child and the parents' understanding of the child, to help parents follow the lead of the child. So I have programs that start right from pregnancy.
Okay.
I handhold parents for an entire year where they don't just learn about brain development per se. We talk about routines, we talk about food, we talk about, attachment, we talk about sleep. So all the areas, routines, they all get connected, right? And right now I'm doing a 3-day webinar where day 1 is only focused on understanding where you are in your parenting, where your child is and what the needs are, what you need to do. It's just analysis. On day 2, we talk about what are the skills we need as parents.
Yeah.
So before we go ahead and even help our children, we need to develop skills.
True.
And then aligning our caregivers, because we cannot parent alone,
Yeah.
right? It's going to be
Very difficult.
yeah. So we can't parent alone. But again, having caregivers who don't align with you causes a lot of confusion. The child is constantly confused. So it benefits the child if all caregivers are on the same page. And I think being in a joint family, I've learned the skills to align caregivers.
Yeah.
Finally, right? And day 3, I think, is all about mindset, because I'll tell you, parents somehow have the information in today's world,
Yeah.
right? But the courage to take that step to develop a system, the support that they need, and then also having a community doing this together with you, I think can be really powerful.
That's
you know?
true. Yeah.
Most parents are just, not sure right now where they are going as parents. They're doing a great job and they don't even know it sometimes, So just kind of helping them realize what your child needs from you, what you need to do, and finally giving them all that they need to be able to implement is what I do in my 3-day program, which is called RAISE.
Okay.
And then people can obviously come on for the whole year's journey as well. And
Okay.
it all starts at pregnancy. Right now, I'm only working with parents in the birth to 7 window.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And how can they reach out to you?
They can just reach out to me on my page.
Okay,
They can
just
DM
DM
me,
you.
and we will be putting a link on the bio very soon. So they can attend a webinar, and if they want to learn more, they can hop onto our 3-day program.
Awesome. Nice. I
Yes.
really hope this reaches as many parents as possible, because you're right, that gap needs to be bridged.
Yeah.
And everyone has a lot of information, but how to actually implement it is where, we need to learn and
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So let's move on to a myth busting session. Okay. Where we'll talk about maybe 5 or 6 myths related to parenting. And you tell us if it's true or not. And maybe like a small explainer if needed.
All right.
Okay. I think we've discussed this, but kids forget everything before the age of 7.
Not true.
So can you go over that again? So 0 to 3 memories are not there.
Memory
but
begins at 3.
3. Huh.
Yeah. Memory begins at
Huh.
3 in terms of remembering our experiences. But all the brain development starts from pregnancy. So every single thing the child eats, even during pregnancy, the songs that are sung to them, they remember after
Yeah.
birth. So
Yeah.
if children can have that kind of memory at birth, every loving memory that the child and you have
Yeah.
created the child will carry on in their heart forever.
True. Discipline is equal to punishment.
No, because the meaning of discipline is actually to teach. I don't know how discipline became punishment. If you Google the meaning of the word discipline, it's actually to teach.
Yeah.
So it's not punishment.
It's not punishment. Too much love spoils a child.
Well, love your children and connect with them and give them as much time as they need. You can never spoil them with your love.
Yeah. I think love is often confused
Yes.
with giving in or just doing what the
Love
child
with
wants.
healthy boundaries. I think that's the balance.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Because a lot of our elders would say ना कि ओ मतलब ठीक है रो रहा है तो दे देते हैं वो वाली चीज, because they are coming from a place of love, so for them love is just giving them what they want.
Yeah.
I think that's where this confusion
Yeah,
of love and
exactly.
spoiling the child is
Yeah.
coming from.
So love is also ki khila do thoda
खिला
sa.
दो थोड़ा सा. हाँ,
Yeah, love can
हाँ.
be confusing.
Yeah, yeah.
So love them, but also do teach them the rules. Give
Yeah.
them the healthy boundaries. Because then if you say no for something today, which is developmentally okay, they will also learn to stand up and say no when they experience that. For example, if you tell your child, no, I'm not going to let you hit me. The child understands that boundary, that I love my mama, she loves me, but hitting is not allowed, right? The child will do that in their future when
Yeah.
this comes up for them.
Yeah, true. Early academics shape smarter kids.
Well, I don't know what you mean here by early academics, but few things that don't shape kids' brains, the brains of children, are, those flashing cards. The box probably is more useful to touch and feel than the cards themselves, right?
Yeah.
And to forcing children to reach certain milestones. Having said that, if you're reading to your children, you've given them hands-on sensory experiences, you've built secure attachment, you've given them the emotional regulation skills, you've given them a lot of experiences for all their senses that will carry them on throughout life.
You're gonna love this. Saying no makes you a bad parent.
We discussed love with
Yeah.
healthy boundaries,
Yes.
but I feel saying no can become something else. So in my house, no is only reserved for situations where it comes to safety. So if we say no very often to a child, no becomes a nothing word.
Nothing to.
It doesn't have any weightage.
Yeah.
But when I say no, Aishu, and she's about to cross the road, she'll stop in her tracks because I don't say no very often. So no and stop have to be meaning something. बहुत वजन है in words में, So how often we are saying it,
Yeah.
right? Instead of
Matters.
saying no, we can also say, you know what, here's what we can do. We can always reframe it, but I wouldn't say just keep on saying no also.
Yeah.
But I think what you're trying to say is, बच्चों को मना
कर सकते
हाँ,
हैं.
तो boundaries तो हमें ही सिखाना है उनको.
Yeah.
Yes.
True. So let's just wrap this up with one question, which I feel might be going on in many parents' minds who might be listening to this. Is my child is now 3 or 4, and I've sort of missed that period, that sensitive period that we talked about,
Yes.
right? And I've been doing everything wrong, probably.
Yes.
What can you say to them?
I feel अगर वो parent सोच रहा है ना, that
हाँ.
parent has done everything wrong, that parent has done few things right. First of all, right?
Yeah.
Because parents who are listening to this and care will have this thought, right?
Yeah.
And not every parent will worry about this, first
Yeah.
of all. You
Yeah.
know? Everyone's goals as parents are very different.
True.
The good news is that the brain is neuroplastic, right? Just like we can learn a new language at 35, we can learn a new skill at 7 or 8 or 9. It's just that it's going to be harder. It's going to take a lot more effort, but it doesn't mean it cannot be done, right? But there are phases where the mind is genuinely inclined towards something. And if not done at that point, then it's harder for the brain to learn.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible, and that's the good news. You can
Yeah.
start today. You can start working on it today, build the connection today, help your children with whatever they need today.
So when you say connection,
Yeah.
right? Now a parent might say, ki, okay, I'm spending time with my child.
Yeah.
I am home the entire day.
Yeah.
I'm not a working parent. I spend one-on-one time with them. I go to the park with them. But my child still doesn't listen to me.
Yeah.
So when you say connection, right, it might be a little confusing for parents. So can you
Right.
maybe break that down for us?
Yeah. Sure. So connection, when I talk about connection with your child, I mean giving them few moments of, I'm not saying whole day, right? Few moments of one-on-one uninterrupted time. And in that uninterrupted downtime, you're just doing what they want you to do. Now, the number one thing that's needed for connection is phone in the other room. The second thing that's needed in connection is being there 100% mentally. And that's very hard. If I'm just around my child and I'm just scrolling, I'm working, I'm eating, I'm taking them to the park, I'm not connecting 100% of the times. But when she calls me for bedtime and says, Mama, let's read, can we read 3 books? And I'm just with her doing what she wants, where she's in charge. She's decided what needs to be done. And sometimes she may decide our connection time today is playing with magnetiles, and that's okay too. Sometimes it's just, can we just cuddle? So she's the boss of that connection time. We spend time doing something she loves. And sometimes she tells me, you know what, let's do something you love. So then we might
Yeah.
dance or do something else, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't have to be an activity. It's just you both lying down and just laughing, you know. So taking that time out to be intentionally present
Hmm.
is what I mean when I say build that connection.
Hmm.
And also having your children know
Hmm.
that I love you no matter what.
Hmm.
I think to fill them up with that thought so they know, you know, the moment I go home, if Aisha's done something which was not supposed to be done by in the book, right? She's just like, Mama, like, what happened? She's like, I have to tell you. You know, everyone in the house told me I shouldn't tell you, but I have
I
to tell you.
yeah.
You know what? Papa took me for hot chocolate.
That's
You
your
know, so your
proof of
child-
connection. Yeah.
And then your child's willingness to listen to you increases a lot more. They want to listen to you. You know why? Because they love you and they want to connect with you. They don't want to upset you intentionally. The only reason children listen is because the connection they have with you is so precious that that relationship becomes more important than that chips or chocolate, for
Yeah.
example. You
Yeah.
know, so your child's love, relationship, bonding, and you being their secure base is above everything else. और कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते तो ये कर लो. And connection time, especially children need with both parents individually.
Yeah.
And if somebody has two children, ideally they should be doing it separately with each.
Okay.
But it can range anywhere between 8 minutes to half an hour, you know, or more. As long as you are mentally there.
Mentally
you know.
there,
I don't know
yeah.
how many of us can be there mentally.
I think mentally being
Present.
there, even
Is-
without your phone, is the
Yes.
biggest thing because you have so many things going on. Like we've had a
Yeah.
hard day at work, at
Yeah.
home, and then
Yeah.
all of that's in our mind.
Yeah. So it really helps to tell your children that when we are doing connection time, we cannot come with our phones. So if you enter with a phone, your child will tell you this is not connection
Not
time.
connection
phone
time.
rakh ke aao. Phone off karo.
So you make them accountable for
You
it.
make them accountable.
Yeah.
And then we have a chart where we
Huh.
have to do connection time daily, right?
Huh.
If we don't do it, she's going to ask for it.
Okay.
And then there's a separate column for my husband. If he doesn't do it,
she's gonna go to him.
she's
and be
going to
like,
go and tell
Come.
him that we didn't do connection time. And sometimes she'll say, you know what, let's do family connection time to make it easier because
So
now we have
cute.
less time today. So, you know, we all work according to, you know, the kind of time we have in hand. But like I said, presence does not mean bonding.
Yeah. Got
Presence is presence. You're there,
it.
right? Connection takes effort.
Okay, Ankita, this has been a beautiful conversation. I have learned a lot today, and I really hope people who have heard this or watched us have also gotten what they needed out of this and understand the importance of the first 6 years. Like that was my
Yes.
main goal of having this
Yes.
conversation with you. Just getting that word out there that yes, this is needed and this is important. And if you guys have any questions, any concerns, you can always reach out to her directly or join her program, and that will definitely give you the kickstart that you need. So that's about it for today. I like to end each episode with this segment that I call the mom pause. And that's sort of like my selfish way of getting some me time, where we just sit and have a positive thought in our minds and just be for 2 minutes.
Okay, I love that.
That's about it. So the positive thought for today is one mindful moment can shift our entire day.
It's so much in sync with our session today.
Yes, exactly.
Let's do it.
So it's not just for me and Ankita, it's for everyone who's listening.
Yes.
Whether you're folding the laundry or you're putting your baby to sleep, holding them while they sleep, anything, just take these 2 extra minutes for yourself and that will just make your entire day better, right?
Yeah, I consciously believe that because we need these small mindful moments in our busy lives.
Exactly.
Yes.
It helps us show up better for our kids
Families,
too.
ourselves. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just start and we'll
Yes,
end the episode with
yes.
that.